What is up, everybody? Good morning. Good morning. Dr. Vibe here on the Morning Vibe, broadcasting on Halloween 2020. Halloween 2020, October 31st. And if you don't know me, you probably, I don't know if you want to or not, but I am the co-host and co-producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show and the 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And through that collaboration last year, was able to reach out directly or indirectly to over 100,000 fathers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. And we are with the star, another star in his notch, Mr. Ryan Knight. What's going on?
Hey, good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
What's up?
You say I'm a star, but for those that don't know who I am, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. So we work with entrepreneurs of African and Caribbean heritage, really to figure out what stage their business is in and then help them to create a strategy to grow their companies exponentially. I'm an entrepreneur myself. I run a company called Detailing Nights. So we provide mobile, waterless car cleaning. So we go to your house or to your office, clean your car on the spot without water, and our plant-based, eco-friendly cleaning supplies. And shout out to our youth entrepreneurs. We run a program during the summer to teach entrepreneurship to high school and college students. And looking forward to next season. So if you know somebody that is out of school during the summer and having difficulty finding a job, definitely send them my way so we can teach them that they can start their own businesses. And you'll see I'm always rocking the PACU shirt, which is the Pan-African Credit Union. So if you want to see a Black-led and Black-serving financial institution come into being, please go to pacu.ca and pledge and show your support. And you can become part ownership of this credit union.
Excellent. Before we go any further, let's just say that this episode of the Morning Vibe is sponsored by the Macmillan Group, providing mortgage solutions one client at a time since 1999. Buying, refinancing, or investing, call them at 905-813-4354 in Canada, and in the US, 904-586-5836. So always thanks to Ray and Stefan for their continuous support. So, yes. Mr. Knight, you were doing ping pong at the end of our conversation on Friday, and I see you chose the one side of the table. What side of the table did you choose?
Yeah, ended up staying home. The kiddos weren't feeling too well, so didn't want to. You never know, not to spread germs, but I was on daddy duty. But I did send in my acceptance speech, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I didn't didn't go to the event?
No, hey, I saw the pictures. They look nice, So, hey, sorry I couldn't make it, but I definitely. So in that video that I sent in was really to pay homage to those that have influenced me, since technically they named me one of the most influential Black Canadians.
That's Afro Global. Yes,
right.
Afro Global Network.
So being able to show who's been supporting me along the way. And I knew I was going to forget some people. again, I think I mentioned you, Dr. Vibe, so thank you.
That's a, well, you know what? Here's
Yeah.
something. When you forget someone, tell them, say it's your head, not your heart.
And I did mention that, but
Good.
it's because one thing I saw on the weekend was Brandon Hay did the unconference. And
Yes, for families.
I've been a big fan of Brandon because of he really showed me that you can bring the community together to have conversations, and that to me really keeps me going. And a big one also, Susan Henry, a woman that I consider a second mother because she will lecture me and make sure that I stay on point. But she works for Alternative Savings and has been such a big supporter of everything that we do, and along the way supporting us with our social finance and our lending programs. And also Farley Flex, that has been on the show a couple times.
I owe him a phone call. I owe him a phone call. He called me and said we'd get back. So I owe him a phone call. So Farley, see, Ryan is thumping me with you. So I have to put him in the agenda today to give him a phone call.
Good stuff.
So that is
so
good.
Many people, and I'm sure I'm missing a couple more, but
yeah, well, you're a media star now, so you have a platform. And whenever you remember, you can announce them on here, right?
True, yes.
Good. So you just stayed laid low on the weekend.
So yeah, and from the sounds of it, you didn't end up attending either. You weren't.
I have a show. I had a show to do. I have a Saturday night show with Aisha K. Staggers, Jill Jones, and Laura Lalaki. Laura could not make it because she's moving from Florida to Kentucky because she wants to get out of Florida for a number of interesting reasons.
Yes.
So no, I didn't. But I'm glad, and congratulations to all the award winners. I didn't go to the ceremony. I don't do too many ceremonies these days. So so unfortunately, so be it. And anything else going on?
Like we said, it's gala season, and there's actually another gala that day. So shout out to
You're kidding.
Black Mentorship Inc. with Evangeline. Hey, so I guess if you're downtown, you had a gala or award show you could go to, or if you're out in Peel, you had another option. But I feel like the galas are ramping up, man.
Okay. Divine Right from the DMV says, good morning, my brothers. Happy Monday to you and your wonderful son. So anything else going on since we last chat? We saw each other last week. We saw physically and also online. I have a really interesting story before we get on, because we have a big star coming up in a few moments. So I just want to make sure she's just really ready and relaxed and ready to go. I see her big smile in the green room. So just a really quick story. So was it Thursday afternoon, 4:30? I get a DM Instagram-wise from my major mentor. So if people know me, they know who I'm talking about.
Okay.
And you said, you up to anything? I said, no. Because I have a favor to ask. I go, okay. So long story short, he is pitching a big time television show in Baltimore, where he's from. I'm not going to give the name, but if people know me, they know who I'm talking about. I think our friend that's going to be coming on in a few minutes knows who I'm talking about. Yes, she's got the thumb up. And basically he said he's in the pitching process. He's already got step one done. And he has a great thought process that even though it hasn't become a reality yet, he already has a deck done with guests. He hasn't reached out to any of the guests yet, but he has a list of guests. So that was wonderful. And he said, hey, could you do a voiceover for a promo for this show? I go, what?
Right.
I go, what?
Yes.
And I go, yeah, I'll do anything for you because he's done so much for me. So I had the opportunity, and he's got to send me the video, and it was so challenging. Now, hail up people like Jonathan Jushman Shaw, who's been doing voiceovers for years.
Yes.
It is not easy to do because first my mentor gave me a script just to do it, and then he came back to, it needs to be 35 to 38 seconds long. Okay. and it has to flow with the rhythm of the video. So there's certain things mentioned on the video, like he's visited Richard Branson's private island,
Whoa, right.
Yeah, he's done stuff for Intel, Capital One. Him and his wife run two media companies. So had to do the pacing along the show. So it was a great opportunity, but a great learning experience. So
Yeah.
hail up and respect people that do voiceovers. I've already had respect for you, but it's a whole other level now. So apparently what he did is he took some of my recordings and put them together. So he's told me he's going to send it to me. So that was a huge opportunity and a huge win.
Excellent. Congrats on that. Yeah.
And again, another person who looks like us, not even from this country, family.
True.
Not even from this country, giving me that opportunity. So there are people who are willing to work together in opportunities. So I'll just leave it at that.
100%.
So I was pretty jacked about that. That was really a great opportunity. And
yeah,
that was huge.
So voiceovers was never something that you really got into?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I've only done, no one's ever really approached. I've done one or two for other people that have approached to me. Yeah. But again, Jonathan, we need to get Jonathan Shaw on this show. Really and truly.
And his son's very talented. I don't know if he's pursuing music.
Yeah. But it's such an art and such a blessing to have that opportunity. And so it was a really good learning experience. Really. So blessings. You may hear my voice, maybe doing the intro of this show. It's a matter of time will happen. And my mentor, his grandmother actually founded the Baltimore School of Arts. And two of the graduates of that institution, Jada Pinkett and Tupac.
Okay. Love that.
So there you go. So Divine Right, thank you for your support. Thank you for the voiceover. And she goes, Baltimore's up the road from the DMV, 45 minutes or so. So down the road.
Right. Oh, 45 minutes. Oh, okay, nice.
Down the road. But you know what? We've warmed up. We have a wonderful lady that I've known for a number of years. And then we didn't communicate for a number of years. And then for the last, at least 2 or 3 years, we've been in regular communication. I've seen her grow and prosper. But she's had challenges too. Want to be honest, because I want to be open, because, a lot of times you see us on the outside, but we have our challenges too. So I am very happy and blessed. And her and Ryan, I think, met for the first time last night by Black's Restaurant Week media launch. And
yes,
I think you bought me her book.
And also you signed.
And then I think you signed something, or she asked you to sign something for her son.
Right, because I was able to give her a copy of Jazz and Dad Start a Lemonade Stand that my daughter and I wrote together.
Yeah. Fantastic. So let's bring to the platform L.A. Wade, the host of This Is L.A. Media. The host of too many things. Nigel Wise, book author. I don't know, brand ambassador. Like before she came online, she's going to be another brand deal. Like she needs to teach me how to do brand deals.
Yes.
L.A. Wade, what is going on?
Good morning, both to these two gentlemen, these handsome gentlemen. In the words of my mentor, I'm blessed and highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution to someone's problem. And now I'm also Blackalicious.
Yes.
So, Ms. Wade, I'm going to ask you if you can to tilt the camera up a little bit, because we can't see the top of your head.
I wish I could tilt my camera.
Because we want to see your locks. Come on now. Let's see if you can do. Let's see what you can do here.
Yeah, because it's a desktop that's just.
Okay, keep on going a little bit more.
Except it won't stay like that.
Okay, then just keep it as is. Whatever works.
I'm meant to stack it with something else to keep it up.
It's okay.
Okay. Let's see if I can get this. Does that work? That's the best I got here.
Hey, no worries. We roll with it. So, LA, I know can you give a little background to our Morning Vibe family about you?
That question is always the most, unassuming question. But with a mind like mine, it can take you into 10 million different directions.
Good.
I don't know if that's a good thing. Because I seem to always confuse people about who I am and what I do. And it's because I do a lot of things, and I've heard it described as a multi what? Multi something light. I do many things. Hey, divine light. Is that his name?
Yeah,
Yes.
Divine Right.
Yes, hello. Nice to see you this morning. Okay, I would say that the best way to describe me is someone who embraces her duality, that loves her community, loves God and family, and is dedicated to her healing and to the healing of people that look like her. So I think that's would be the best way to encapsulate that. I do those things through media platforms. So I am a TV and podcast host. I was a reality TV wife. I didn't really do much there. Let's just be honest. But but it did allow me to leverage myself and my career. Um, and just recently, I started to listen to the inner workings of my heart to say, you've been writing for a long time and you've always wanted to be a writer. And although I've been published in the academic space, I never thought that I could actually do a creative piece and be so well received. And so listening to that, I dared to write down some stories. And within 2 months, I had a book. And it's become a really great blessing for me. I'm trying to get into the area of film because my show ideas are being picked up as things that people may want to see in the future. So my career, I think, is pivoting away from the university and education and going in towards media and specifically writing in media. So I'm excited about that.
Ryan, I could chat with LA all day, so you got to you.
Well, I
give
didn't
you
want
room to go on
jump
this
into the book just yet because as we've gotten to talk over the last few days, the scope of LA Wade Media. Could you give maybe a breakdown of kind of what you're working on and things maybe on the go?
Sure. Okay, so LA Wade Media, I had to incorporate because I started off my brand with the Cocktails with LA, The Adventures of a Recovering Sex Addict, which is my traveling podcast. I was fortunate enough to begin that podcast back in 2019 by going on a cruise that I'll be doing in January with Caribbean Vibrations. Thank you so much, Divine. I'm going on a cruise with Caribbean Vibrations and inviting some of my followers or people who like to go on the adventures with me. And we'll be meeting up with Caribbean Vibrations to go on their real estate cruise. And then LA will be in charge of all the excursions and all of the fun that people will have on the cruise. So that was something that I did myself back in 2019 before the pandemic to launch Cocktails with LA. Now that was a really great experience because I ended up going over to Chicago and going to Grenada and a bunch of other islands and interviewing people about love, sex, dating, and relationships. And I learned so much about that. And that came about as a result of, leaving my 16-year relationship and really just launching into trying to find myself and heal from a lot of pain that relationships can sometimes have when you're not dedicated to who you are, self-accountability, a whole bunch of things that you learn in retrospect. I digress to say that was an amazing experience, but then pandemic hit and I had a lot of content that I could release. And I guess I captured people's attention because there wasn't really a lot else to do. Luckily, I had some substance to what I was doing, but I essentially went through my breakdown, scratch, breakthrough online, and I would share it with people through my IG lives. And then when I started to really feel that sense of healing take hold, I started to realize that I was helping people through me sharing my experience of my anxiety, my depression, what it was like to overcome my divorce, trying to co-parent. All of these different things were themes that were coming up. as a result of what I was talking about, but it was intermixed with the fact that I was talking about sex all the time. So I didn't want the message to become mixed up, but it was a part of my journey. And that's why the sex conversation always gets intermingled with the fact that I also want to help heal my community. And stringing those things together really helped me to see that, you know, our community and the majority of the community out there, meaning society, we're all sex addicts to some extent. Those of us that are not connected to source, not connected to who we are as people, we try to lead by connecting through this intimacy that we feel, because we do want that connection, but that's not the connection you are looking for right off the bat. But this is how we go about it in our society. Fast forward through that, doing those lives, FIVA TV, Robert, shout out to Robert from FIVA TV, offers me a deal to do my own television show, which I've never done. So I started to produce, write, and host my own TV show. I did 1 season, 13 episodes, and that was the most learning I've ever experienced in my life.
And that's how I became aware of you, by watching FIVA TV.
That's amazing. Yeah. And, you know, I didn't know how I did that, but I did it somehow. And that led me to doing behind the scenes photography with a local film production company that was also doing the Naja Wives. And so what I did is that they asked me for the Cocktails with LA brand to host their reunion special. And so I hosted their season 2 reunion special. And from there, they asked me to join the cast as one of the wives. I said, of course, I would do that if my storyline can be about what I'm trying to do. So that became my storyline on the show. And from there, I started doing the Cocktail Hour, which is a business-focused on a podcast that looks at, you know, people in the arts, culture, sports, and entertainment industries. I followed Selena Caesar Chavan to Nairobi, and I'm creating a docuseries called Can You Hear Me Now, based on her book. And then my own books came out with The Adventures of a Recovering Sex Addict, and the Canada Council of the Arts has gifted me some financing towards putting that into a screenplay in 2023. So, and just recently, I just got 2 more things that are coming. CL Houghton. Yeah, CL Houghton is a relatively new wine company that has asked to sponsor me in regards to creating a label for myself in the wine business. So that's a very exciting prospect that is on the rise. And then my mentor that helped me through editing some of my things, not Mosa McNeely, who I love, who helped me with this book, but Carlos Anthony, who has his own novels out. He sent my book, this little tiny thing here that is my heart, over to a publishing company. And they said, well, her content's pretty risque, and may not be great for a YA audience. However, she's a brilliant writer. And I think we would like to talk to her about the possibility of writing a YA novel for that social realism aspect that they have on their platform. So that is definitely something that I'm very excited about, because it allows me to expand as a writer and see what I'm really about, which is terrifying, by the way. When you're called for what you only wish in your heart, and people are saying, yes, we'd like to see more writing, you're like, oh shoot, what did I just do? So it's great. Yeah. Right. I feel like I'm talking so much.
No, it's about you. We're just steering the ship. You're driving the ship, and lots of people are watching live. And if you have any questions or comments, please. She's pushing the book. She's pushing the book. Okay, you want to talk about your book, so let you talk about your book. So tell us about this interesting book called The Adventures of a Recovering Sex Addict, Volume 1, Married Men and Blank Boys.
F boys.
F boys. Okay,
you know,
F boys.
Those of you who are confused about what these things mean, I do have a very extensive vernacular in the back. The glossary of LA Wade is in the back, so you can get what it is. And so in terms of, let me see if I can read it. So an F boy, an alleged man who plays with girls' feelings and doesn't really like them. He will do or say anything a girl wants to hear, to have sex with her, or to get something he wants. This is the definition of the F boy. And this is What people don't understand about this book is that it is really a book about self-accountability. It's not a book about blaming married men or F-boys for anything that they do. It's about the woman's perspective of participating in situations where she may not be reading the situation right, or she's reading it right, but feels so thirsty that she's going anyway. Because loneliness and belonging is a real issue amongst people. And the things that people are willing to do creates like an addict type behavior in what they're doing. And it's all fun and games to talk about sex, but when you add the word addiction to it, I need people to take pause and recognize that addiction is not actually that fun of a situation. So I just want to bring that to the forefront, that while the book cover and all of these things are very alluring because that's who we are as people, I think I'm an alluring person. However, there's so much more behind what someone presents out front. And Callie Church, she's my protagonist. I called her Callie Church because I thought she was based off of me. This is actually a picture of me that got illustrated by Ghanaian illustrator Joseph Bonsu, who also did the book for Andre de Grasse. He's a wonderful artist in the city. He's part of Heroes of the World, who has different superheroes for characters of every country around the world. Very inclusive, so great. And when Carlos had suggested, maybe Joseph could do the cover, I liked the idea of creating like a digital media series, but of course, everything takes financing. And so I just thought, let me set the standard with the cover of the book, and hopefully that will bring people in to find out what's going on inside of the book, which is not what people think. Now, feedback that I get from people is it takes you on a roller coaster that is fun and not scary at all. It's just, you're just ebbing and flowing with the stories, and one story bleeds into the other. And it really captures moments in time that allow people to see the humanness of an experience of trying to find love and belonging in the world. And that's really what it is. But it's done it from an Afro-Caribbean Canadian perspective. I bring in the influences of the diaspora that has been impacted on me, which was another reason why I needed to put the glossary at the back, because I have a diverse audience and I don't want to alienate anyone.
And I was so curious. So I'm not all the way through the book, but the learnings that come from it, what can you give to our women to start with? The signs that they should look out for, that I guess the warning signs that makes them realize that they're on maybe that wrong path when looking for that type of connection.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, in the sense that with love that I found, I'm not an expert necessarily. I've definitely become an expert in what not to do. And what you don't want to do is block yourself from experiences because somebody else has hurt you before. If you approach love from a place, this is how I approach it. I approach love from a place of serving the other. And I'm looking for somebody who's looking at trying to serve me from that same place. And when we both approach it from that place, then it's reciprocal. And I don't have to think that what the person's expectations are. I don't have to think about what their motives are, because I can see and feel that this is the type of relationship that I'm having. That was not present at these times. What was present in these times was me giving, and what I was receiving was manipulation. And you have to forgive yourself for being manipulated. I'm online. People can see me. They hear the words that I say. They know what I'm looking for from a partner. I'm out there. So if a man doesn't have good intentions, he can easily find out lots of things that can make me happy and come towards me with these ideas, because they know I share what it is that I'm looking for. And so I think that my vulnerability, there's something in the Bible that talks about guarding your heart. And I never really understood how to guard your heart and still love openly at the same time, because I felt like that was like a contradiction. But I think the discernment of understanding what to share and how to evolve a relationship, and what is healthy boundaries, has made my experience in love so much healthier now than it was back when these situations were happening.
And I'm so curious because I've spoken to a few women that are single and dating. And so now you were dating, let's say 16 plus years ago, and then we're married, and then now we're starting to date again. What is the difference between what dating was like back then and dating nowadays? Because I'm hearing many horror stories, but I'm curious if that's actually reality.
Well, also, I'm in a different, the horror stories that I hear. I feel like younger women now are more savage and they don't allow themselves to become as taken by how men can sometimes manipulate them or allow themselves to be manipulated in that way. For me, I've lived on my own since I was 16 years old. And so I've learned, and I come from a sexual abuse background. So having an abuse background has really put me in a place of being on the periphery, which I find to be a superpower now, because I've been always placed in a situation where I have to observe a lot around me. And so I've seen the things that are drivers for men over time. And I would say that when I was younger, I understood ways in which me, the female form, would have a certain impact upon men that wanted to interact with me. And so I was always very hyper aware. So being aware doesn't mean that you always know what to do. I never believed in that saying, when you know better, you do better. That's bullshit. If you feel that you are in deprivation or scarcity in any way, what you say you will never do may all of a sudden become something you do because you're trying to survive. And I think that that is the difference between dating before for me and dating now, where I don't give away my power as easily now than I did then. It was something that I believe that everything good was external to me. And so therefore, everyone else that I spoke with had more value than I had. And I would replace that power so quickly without giving it a second thought. And that really moved me towards trying to find myself. Yeah.
All right, we're just going to take a quick reset here. We're speaking with L.A. Wade on the Morning Vibe. She's got her book in her hand. See that book? Go buy it. See that book? Go buy it.
Yes.
And also, just wanted to. I thought this would be a good thing to do, to actually go, if you want to check her out. One of the places you can check her out is on her website, and we're just going to bring up the website here. There you go. Let the adventures begin. Right?
Yes.
So that's when you go to the website. That is what it's all about. So if that doesn't get your attention, I wonder will. If it doesn't get your attention, what will? So LA, let me ask you, with all the stuff going on, what do you do to rest?
I sleep.
Good. That's good to hear.
Yes.
I sleep. On certain days, I say I'm not doing things and I want to be with my family. I walk in the pool. I go to the hot tub. I go to the physiotherapist. I still have counseling. People don't know, but back in 2016, when I left my relationship, I had a nervous breakdown. And it was very, very challenging. And going into therapy has been the greatest gift that I could have ever given myself, giving me the time to leave work and go on a leave of absence because I needed it. And it was something that I struggled with off and on at first. And then finally, an event happened that allowed me the space and the time to take a real leave of absence and dedicate myself to my healing. So for the past, I would say for the past almost 2 years, I have engaged in, on average, about anywhere from 10 to 15 hours of therapy a month to help me. And that's a privilege that I got because I was on a leave of absence, and that was something that was afforded to me through my workspace. But it's changed my life. And what I want people to understand, because I also talk about this at the beginning of the book about, what healing looks like. We think it's kind of like what exercise looks like. People don't want, they say, I'm going to get fit. It's Monday, I'm going to start getting fit. And by Wednesday, they've given up or they've started to eat badly or whatever. Yes. Your healing journey is similar in the sense that, yes, you can go and talk to someone, but if you're not practicing, you're not doing the nutrition of what you're putting inside of you and how you are getting rid of those calories, you can become, not unwell and still stay unfit as a part of your emotional and spiritual journey towards healing. And so it was something that I had to do. And the self-accountability piece is very, very crucial to my experience of healing. And if you're not looking at yourself and holding yourself accountable to how you show up in spaces, then the healing can't really take root and the transformation can't really begin.
Okay. Divine Right seems to be a fan.
I badly. I don't even remember.
And actually, she does a lot of writing. She actually does writing classes.
Oh, wonderful.
Yes, she's so. If you ever need mentorship in the area of writing, I know you already do, but she is very good at that and does it, especially now she's doing she has Lyme disease and is also an ovarian cancer advocate.
Wow. Wow.
So I think I'll have to introduce you too, because I know you'd probably want to have her on your show also. So yeah, your show on Mondays, but she says, I love that. After not dating for 10 plus years, I find myself adhering more to boundaries I have set for myself to maintain my peace and not dealing with the foolishness that I dealt with back then. And also saying it is two different worlds from dating years ago versus now, because I'm older and did the work to start my healing process. Protecting peace is the key.
Yeah, I wanted to state that in the note from the author at the beginning, I list a bunch of people that this book is for. And I start with, as early as the little girls who feel ugly because people are not able to see their beauty, and the little boys who are told not to cry and to stash away their feelings. And I take that all the way to the mature women. So this is kind of for Divine, where I say, for the mature women who think they are too old to find love or think it's too late for them, be open to loving in the way that you want to be loved. You might just find a partner instead of forcing yourself to do everything alone. I think this is an elephant in the room in our community, that women forge these alliances with, I think they align with the white feminist movement that doesn't really take into consideration the oppression that Black women also face, and try to take up arms with something that doesn't truly allow them to present all of themselves. And what one of those things is the idea that we can do it alone. This whole we can do it alone thing is damaging our community, because we need to do it together. We don't want to do it alone. And taking on this self-righteous, I can do it on my own, for what reason, I'm not really sure. I believe in feminism, but I do not believe in doing it alone. I don't believe that works at all. And especially in our community, when we really need to rely on one another, both men and women, I think there's a gap in the fact that men are now being allowed to express themselves and to say what it is that they want. That's pretty new. And we've had all of these women's movements that have allowed us to come to a certain level of understanding. And we're turning around and judging harshly the men who did not go on the same journey, and we're not having the same kind of conversation. So men need to be able to be where they are and spoken to where they are and shown, what we've had to go through to get to where we're going, but by doing it together. That's the main thing. We need to talk to each other and help each other up, and not putting each other down.
By the way, yeah, Christopher Lawrence from Frequency Promotion says, "Hey LA, hey LA."
Hey Christopher, how are you?
Okay. Ryan, that sounds like you wanted to say something. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, I was curious if you can continue kind of that thought where you've had so many conversations and had men open up to you. What were some of the I want to say like revelations? But yeah, and I was like insights from men that start to actually talk about their feelings, because a lot of times, hey, guys talk to each other, we'll open up to a point, but more times we'll open up more to a woman. I've seen it in your interviews, so I'm curious what insights you might have for us men to learn from.
I think that men need to just be open to the learning and put down the cape, the cape that patriarchy is placed on your backs, and you didn't necessarily sign up for it because you were too busy trying to survive for your own freedom. So imagine a freedom superhero that is in shackles. I don't really get the what that looks like exactly. So it's very difficult. So I think that people, not just men, but I think that people tell me things because I share my vulnerability from a very authentic, genuine space. Um, and it provides a space for other people to show up with their authenticity, and then not judging them for where they are on their journey, and just reflecting back to them the things that I hear allows for learning in and of itself. And it's not learning that I'm giving to them, it's just learning that is becoming more aware to them simply by asking questions. And Dr. Vibe is very good at that in his interviews, where he'll ask questions that open up possibilities and opportunities for connection and for a deeper learning. And I think that that is useful in relationships, online, interviewing relationships, and in relationships in your personal and professional lives, is to showing up for people like you care about them because they're there, not for any other reason other than there's another human being. I look into people's eyes and I want to know who you are. And I think in a world where we're not seen or heard enough, I think that matters. And I enjoy being able to provide that space for people.
So the Macmillan Group says, so refreshing to hear a Black woman who is anti doing it alone.
Yes.
Yeah. That can get the middle finger. I am not about that life.
Well, one of the things I'll add to that too is not only a safe place for people, but safe and brave space. I think it's really important. Like I always hear the term safe space, and I get just bugs the heck out of me. You have to have a safe and brave space, because someone could have a safe space and he'll just sit there quietly feeling safe, but you want them to feel brave enough to share what's going on in their heart and some of their journeys. So I think a safe and brave space is really important. And and the comment here, Orlando says there's some grown-up conversation right here.
It's not your average book, I'm telling you. There's a lot of stuff in here.
The Divine Right says, yes, indeed, there's no way I would be where I am if I did everything alone, especially with being a single mom and having chronic Lyme disease.
You're a superhero, Divine Right. You are a superhero. Another thing I'd love to hear our community start to talk about is the grieving process. I don't think we don't talking about self-care, jumping off of what you're saying, Dr. Vibe, is a big part of healing is learning how to grieve. When you lose a relationship, when you lose a parent, when you lose ideas, when you lose opportunities, we need to learn how to grieve those things. And when you have your health and you lose your health, there's a grieving process that is involved in that is not just happening to the person, but also to the family of that person. And our families are filled with diabetes, with dementia, with Alzheimer's, with cancer, with all of these things. Are we equipped to deal with those things? Do we know how to support people when a lot of the pain is happening inside and not something that you can actually see? I'm a big advocate for our mental health because I suffer with that. I have to go through a lot of therapy, and I present, in a way that, it's not that what I'm presenting is not true, but I have things that make it hard for me to have emotional regulation because I've been traumatized. I've been a rape and child abuse survivor for many years of my life. And because our society talks about these things as if they are buzzwords, it takes away the significance of what that actually means within an individual, which is why I keep talking about sex addiction. It's not just, I'm out here having the time of my life, riding on all these things out there. It's not like that.
Mhm.
It ain't? You're kidding.
There are consequences to this type of behavior that
Yes,
can
yes.
be devastating if you're not responsible or accountable to what's going on here. So it's definitely not a soapbox. I'm talking because you're asking me my feelings about things.
Sure.
However, when I speak to people, it's not about telling them what to think. It's about getting them to think. That's it. It's not, I don't want to tell you what to think. I just want you to engage in a deeper reflection, because sometimes we don't have time for that. And if my conversation with you can leave you thinking about things, I think that's I've done a great job there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can go on if you want. I can go. It's up your call. I got a few conversation topics here.
Yeah, go ahead, because I
Okay.
haven't fully flushed out my question yet.
No problem.
It happens to so many people when I talk to them, because you never think about it.
Exactly.
So Divine Right goes, yes, I've been through grief counseling, not just a physical death, but for my health and finances when I became a single mom. None of us faces grief and get proper help.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's so real. It's so real. This journey has been, when you feel like nobody understands you and you're alienated because of your own behavior, how do you survive that? When people act up and they want to ghost you, or they're like, we always talk about, if the vibe's not right, just move it to the side. But when you choose to move something to the side and not face something that you see in someone you once cared about, what is that saying about how we're supposed to survive as a community if we're always turning away from the uncomfortableness that this person might be representing?
So a few conversation pieces that I have. I think one thing about the therapy piece, family, don't think that you should not have therapy if everything's okay. Just to survive as a Black person, you should probably have a therapist. Not just when things start sliding down, even when things are you think okay, you need those guardrails to
Yes.
navigate through the world. Because everyone's, oh, you need therapy when something's wrong. Not just then.
Right.
It's good to have therapy. All things, because things are going to happen, whether you like it or not. Things are going to happen, and having that foundation of a therapist is very, very key. Second point I want to make, LA, tell me the feeling you had when you held the first copy of that book in your hands.
I cried. I cried a lot. Happy tears, of course.
Yes, yes.
I cried happy tears, and I looked at the cover for a long time, and I kept looking to feel the texture of what it was that I was holding. And I would flip through the pages, and I'm like, wow, it's a real book. I did that. I did that. It was a big deal, and I'm very proud of what I've written, because it's raw, and it's funny, and it's adventurous, and I think I'm not sure. I did a little search, because I was, when Banky Benjamin was trying to help me structure it out. She's done a book before, so she was telling me how to do it on Amazon, and that you need a product description and all of these different things that I was like, I just wanted to write a book. Now I have to sell the book. And so that was my first successes, was in writing the book, but learning how to create the product description and all of those different things forced me to look at the fact that I've created a product that not only healed me, but now I can share it with others, and I have to now market it. And that difference between the artist and the business person around the things that you create has been a very, flowering journey for me. And some dried up weeds are trying to kill my flowers, but looking at ACBN over here.
Yes.
Because you can get really burnt out as a creative, specifically in this country, and where there's not a lot that, if you're not a part of a certain social circle, your dreams can die. And I want to work really hard. That's why my platform, you might see Stacey McKenzie 1 minute, and then somebody who is just learning how to create a business on their own at the same time on my platform. It's not about, getting the big stars on my show. It's about who are you as people and what do you have to offer? What do you thirst for in life? I was thirsting for my healing and sexual sovereignty. And I had gone after it ravenous for that to quench my thirst. And I had to, just like riding a bike, you do it wrong, you fall down, you're unstable in the beginning. And so that's what these things are. These are parts of me learning how to ride a bike without falling off. And that's how my healing has gone. And that's the journey that I want to take people on with their healing as well.
Question from one of our regulars here. Can you speak about Hayton says, can you speak on some of the consequences of being a sex addict?
Yeah, I kind of alluded to the fact that I was alienated. And what that means is that through my trauma and showing up in my marriage not healed, so to speak, and then being married to a wonderful person who doesn't know how to handle trauma, there becomes a breakdown in the communication. But for me, the lack of the trust in being able to communicate kind of set me off, and that's where the beginning of the wagon started to tilt. Now, I didn't know I was on a wagon. And so some of the ramifications of that was losing my marriage. I wouldn't say because of the sex addiction, but I would definitely say it's because of the lack of trust and communication that kind of stimulated me to panic and start to look for love outside of my relationship. And it wasn't always sex. So there's sex addictions. There's different levels of sex addiction. There's the hypersexual person that has something like they have to masturbate. They need to constantly go out there. They'll find prostitutes. That is typically male, but it can also be women. There are different levels. The kind of addiction that I have is based on trauma from when I was a child and psychological sex addiction, meaning it's more so connected to the outcome and using the sex to barter for that outcome. And as a result of bartering sex for love, you want to finance people that don't deserve that financing. So I become financially in trouble as a result of trying to pay into someone for them to love me, giving myself physically to someone for them to love me. Sometimes the sex was reckless, and I saw it as a form of cutting, that if I didn't have sex with someone, I couldn't relieve the pain and loneliness that I was feeling. The trauma aspects of my complex PTSD had me extremely angry and not able to process or ground myself into what it is. So I would scream at people. I would be so angry. And I don't know what how it is for other people, but not being able to be aware of the fact that something that you're experiencing isn't really happening is very scary. So you're screaming, and then the person is having an experience because they like you. People love me. And I didn't know that people loved me. I thought everybody was against me. So the perception is definitely something that was a part of the addiction, because you share yourself with people wanting them to love you. They are loving you in a way that they can love you, but you have expectations based on the trauma, based on the shame, based on all of these things. And they start to blur your vision. And when your vision is blurred, you hurt a lot of people, you become financially in trouble, you put yourself in danger, you put your family in danger. These are some of the things that would happen as a result of the actual addiction process. I hope that's clear.
Well, I think that was quite thorough.
Absolutely.
And just going back to the whole therapy stuff, Divine says just had that conversation yesterday with a loved one. He shies away from therapy and counseling between grief patterns that have a strong hold on him and just being a Black man, praying he seeks it out.
Yeah. And sometimes those things can happen where if a man is willing to at least just sit with himself, meditation is a really big deal for Black men. I think that more Black men should sit in meditation I think we all should, but specifically Black men who don't have the external resources that a lot of women have as a result of feminist movements. I think men are hopefully, what I've seen as a pattern is men trying to claim their own power back, but it's becoming toxic in the same way that there are some Black women or women in general that can also pin men against women in a certain way, and that becomes toxic. I don't like that kind of conversation around feminism or male empowerment. I think there needs to be gender equity and not so much talking about equality, because the equality of wage gaps and all of those things are very, very real things. But what we're missing is the gender equity piece, where men can show up in the same way that women can, with the feelings that they want to show. And if those things aren't available to them, or there's a taboo around them going to therapy, the strongest thing that they can do for themselves is sit in silence and reflect and journal. Like, that's for them. That's their stuff. Yeah, that's what I would suggest for that.
So Donna, thanks for stopping by, Donna. We talk about people going to therapists. Are there many African Canadian therapists out there that can really help you know the culture of someone like you or me or Ryan? It is important that I believe to have people who understand where you're coming from and not just give you a perspective that is completely opposite to who you are. Fully agreed. That's one thing that's very much needed, especially during and post-pandemic, is more Black Canadian or Black therapists, period. I know.
Well, to speak more to that when you're finished your point.
Yeah, well, there is a lady that comes on now once a month, Leslie McEwen, and she's a member of an organization. I'd have to get the website. They have a directory of Black Canadian therapists, and if you want to touch base with me offline, Donna, I do know some organizations out there, at least in the Greater Toronto area, that have a full staffing of Black male and female therapists. So go back ahead, LA.
Sorry, I was just going to say that it's really important to have good relationships with your healthcare providers and to advocate for what it is that you feel like you need. And so a part of my process was in asking for a person of color, number one, hopefully Black. And if there were not a lot of those types of people available, there's lists that your doctors actually have of diverse people who offer these services out there. And then once you find someone, I think it's not enough just to have somebody who's Black, because we are diverse as Black people as well. Black people do not necessarily mean that they understand what you're going through. Coming to someone and talking about sex addiction, there can be a lot of judgment with that, especially as a Black woman. And so because of the way Black women are situated in American media, that definitely, my mom always says, when America sneezes, Canada catches the cold. Well, it's the same, I feel like, with Black women in the media. We get this impression of who we are. So if I come out and say I'm a sex addict, the type of care that might be required to have may not be available to me. So with my therapist, I had to advocate for myself. I need to call it out. And that's an extra burden on me and any other person who is going to do this. And it's not fair. But so are so many other things. I'd rather speak to what I need in terms of my health care, and I recognize that it's unfair, and let them know that I think it's unfair that I need to express this to you, but it's also something that I'm feeling, so I'm going to express it anyway. And I think that kind of learning does need to happen even with our healthcare providers, because a lot of them are unaware of how we show up in our skin. And it's not a responsibility to teach it, but I find myself having to do so because I need an environment where I can feel safe. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that, Donna. It's such an important point.
Ryan?
And we're getting close to wrapping, but I was curious, you talked about crying when you first got and held your book. And it made me think of, we had a conversation when we met at the Restaurant Week launch about myself and crying more after I had my daughter. So I was curious if you've seen a trend between men with kids and men without kids, and men with kids being more emotional. Because I know I cry at Pampers commercials now. I'm like, I used to be so stoic. So I'm curious if you've seen any of kind kind of that same trend happening?
I think that men they're claiming it. They're claiming their right to emote. And I really mark Kobe Bryant's death as a big precursor to a lot of that, in the sense that I noticed a shift in Black men's ability to speak about grief and sadness when he died. And that was really powerful because of the athlete that he was and what that allowed for men to talk about, because it was somebody that everyone could relate to, in the sense that we all can recognize that something tragic had happened to somebody that we could see was great, who also had his flaws, that had these big media social consequences for choices. You know, I think he represented a lot of what Black men was going through, and the loss of him created a domino effect that allowed men to start to, survey success and pain and being a father and all of these different things. I think that was a powerful moment in our in culture. And even that guy used to talk about the high value this and all of these conversations.
Kevin Samuels.
Samuels, and his passing, even all of these things have created conversations, and that's what I aim to do. Is I have no opinion on whether Kevin Samuels was good or bad, whether Kobe Bryant was guilty or not guilty. None of those things actually matter. However, what does matter is that it starts a conversation. What we'll often do in our society is put forth the status quo idea of what we should be thinking as a society. And when there are divergent opinions about those things, it becomes othered and made to feel like it's wrong or bad. And when we put values like that or morality on top of opinions, who gets to state what is true and what is false, and what is good and what is bad? Because as we can see, as Black people, we were deemed bad at one point, and now we're magic makers. So I just find that culture to be fascinating in that way.
Okay. Yes. Roger Dundas says, so true about changing since having my daughter. His wonderful daughter, Marley Rose. Wonderful.
Yes.
Marley
so,
Rose.
LA, what's next?
What's next is I hope to work with ACBN. I hope to work with Buy Blacks.
Put it out there. I love it.
Yes.
I'm hoping to work with them because I have projects. Again, the book is out. I've already written a prequel and a volume 2 structure for this book. It's going to become a screenplay next year, so we'll be casting and getting production together to start that process. The grant was for concept to realization. So by August, we will have a completed project that we will have to then begin putting it into the circuit for film festivals and things like that. And then I'm hoping to really secure something with CBC in regards to my docuseries that I don't know where it's going to go, but it's a very powerful idea. And I look forward to developing more ideas that help to move culture towards more mindfulness. Getting people to think about things that are hard to think about in a safe and brave way. Thank you for the brave part, Dr. Vibe. I was brave, and I know you all can be brave too. And if you read through this book, I think it will allow you to have a discussion with your inner self in a way that makes you reflect upon your relationships, both intimate and, just all relationships, period. And I look forward to getting feedback from people about what this book meant for them in terms of the ride that you go on. It's actually more fun than I've made it sound, because of course there's got to be sex in there, and
Right.
It's not to say that that's absent from the book. It is definitely a part of the book. And I think that the best compliment that I've gotten about this book is that it reminds them of the Eric Jerome Dickey books that from back in the day of like Black romance, erotica stuff. And I didn't mean to do it that way, but I can see why they think that. So that was a huge compliment to be referenced in that way. And I hope I go on to have a great career in writing that transcends my highest possibilities and dreams for myself.
There you go. Well, thank you for taking time out of your positive, productive schedule to share with the Morning Vibe family. You always have a place here whenever you need. Again, family, if you want, the name of the book is The Adventures of a Recovering Sex Addict, Volume 1, Married Men and F-Boys. And if you want to know what F-Boys mean, buy the book and look at the glossary.
Yeah, it's a glossary.
You know, it's been a vibe. It's been a vibe in the morning vibe. Thank you so
Appreciate
much.
it.
I'm so
Thanks for
happy to
taking the
spend
time
with
because
you.
like you're just like on tour. Like everywhere you go, it seems like you're selling books.
Yeah,
Yes.
I mean, what are we here for? Practice? We're here to show up and do what we got to do.
Agreed. Yeah.
Every
Exactly.
day is game day. Every day is game day.
Love it. So look, you take care, be well, keep in touch. I know you will. Love to you and your family. Remember to give yourselves grace and also plug your 5 p.m. show.
The cocktail hour is on Mondays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can see it on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and the Business Takeout platform. So it's been a
Wonderful.
great time doing it. Thank you guys so much. Go buy the book. This is ellawade.com.
All right. Absolutely.
Thanks so
And
much.
do say hi to Banky for us, please.
I definitely will.
Be well.
Awesome.
All right, Dr. Knight.
Yes, sir.
What's going on? Another great conversation.
Hey, as always, didn't expect anything less. Looking forward to seeing the screenplays and things materialize. Yeah, I love that conversation.
It was really good. I'm very and Divine Right goes, yes, this was so great. Divine Right, I think I'm going to introduce you to L.A. Wade because I think both of you are wonderful creatives on both sides of the border, north and south of the 49th. What's on for the rest of the week, Mr. Knight?
Yeah, we have our Tuesday study groups, so looking forward to that. We're digging through the Black Empowerment Manifesto. The rest of the week seems pretty quiet, actually. Yeah, nothing too
Good.
crazy events wise.
Oh, you have an event you made me aware of coming up in December.
Well, yes, December we do have our 5-year anniversary happening here in Brampton at the Chinguzi Ski Chalet, back where it all began. That's where we had our first event in, oh my gosh,
You
2017.
are asking me to, so you're gonna have to get your passport to go. Good. You have to get your
a stamp to get back.
Stamp to get back. Is this
Yes.
is it a special invite or is it open to the public?
It is open. It's the initial special invite. So we've been inviting people that have engaged with ACBN, have been supporters of ACBN to start. I feel like it's almost so. I think we have 20 tickets left. So
whoa!
After that, after the special invites, it'll be opened up. But yeah,
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Fantastic. Well, look, thank you, family, for taking the time to hang out with us today, as always. Oh, Diviner says we are connected through Twitter, but would like a reintroduction because it's been a minute. I will do that, Divine Right. I'll make that happen. And I have a feeling that you will be on LA's show on a Monday sooner rather than later.
Nice.
Done deal. That's what we like to do here. So, a few closing thoughts. If you want to watch replays of this epic conversation, you can check them out on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube, on Facebook pages, Afro Caribbean Business Network on Facebook and YouTube. And also, is it, you know what? And on LinkedIn. It's Ryan's on LinkedIn. Ryan's on LinkedIn and also Ryan's YouTube. So that is great. So coming up on Friday, monthly visit from Wayne Harris. Don't know what he's going to chat about yet, but please follow us or wherever you are watching this, subscribe and you'll get notified of all the great upcoming conversations that we have. If you want to touch base with me, website, the drvibeshow.com, email address dr@the drvibeshow.com, YouTube and Facebook, The Dr. Vibe Show, even Twitter, The Dr. Vibe Show, at The Dr. Vibe Show, and Instagram, The Dr. Vibe Show, and LinkedIn. I got to update that, but even on LinkedIn too.
Nice.
So that is it. We will see you on Friday. As always, live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. block assumptions, and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Remember to give yourselves grace, and don't just manage your time, manage your energy. And maybe Ryan will get another award between now and the next time that we're on. You never know with Ryan Knight these days. You got to follow him, man. He's just like making things happen. Take care, everyone. Be well. Keep the faith. Oh, there. Have you ever had these days where you just get things wrong? Let's get it right.